Welcome to Hidden Empires, the channel that uncovers the untold stories of self-made billionaires. From toy sellers to tech visionaries, from forgotten failures to global empires, we reveal the strategies, risks, and turning points that built fortunes.
How much money has Michael Rubin made selling sports merchandise? What's his secret to success? And how can you apply his story to your life? Michael Rubin dropped out of Villanova after 2 years because he didn't like the school. He had this innate drive to be out in the world, learn and make moves. At 12 years old, he was selling ski equipment from his parents' basement. At 16, he convinced his parents to let him use their basement as collateral on a loan. He paid back that loan plus interest by age 18. So how did he get started? Well, around the same time that Michael was paying back the loan, he also attended college for 2 years before dropping out. During that time, he discovered something very interesting. People were going to online marketplaces to buy and sell rare and vintage sports memorabilia. So Michael thought to himself, hey, I know a thing or two about sports and I know a thing or two about e-commerce. Why not combine the two? And that's exactly what he did. He focused on creating websites for sports merchants so they could list their products on eBay. This way, they could reach more customers and scale faster. And guess what? It worked. His first customer was Topps, a major trading card company. Soon after, he signed Upper Deck and the PGA Tour. The problem was these websites were difficult to operate. They required a ton of upkeep. So in 2000, he decided to reinvent himself yet again. This time, he created a software platform called GSI Commerce. It helped merchants streamline the process of putting their products online. A few years later, he scored huge contracts with big box retailers like Walmart and Target. Eventually, he sold GSI to eBay for $2.4 billion. But here's the thing, Michael never sold his sports merchandising division. In fact, he spun it out into a separate company called Fanatics. That's when things started to get really interesting. At first, Fanatics was just an e-commerce site for sports apparel and collectibles. But since Michael had built a software platform already, it wasn't difficult to expand to other product categories. Jersey sales were a nice source of income, but Michael knew if he wanted to grow, he needed bigger contracts. So he went to work. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars acquiring smaller memorabilia companies and building relationships with the biggest sports leagues in the world. Soon enough, Fanatics became the official online shop for the NBA, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, and the NCAA. To continue his expansion, he decided to reinvent himself once again. This time, he launched Fanatics Betting, which allowed people to bet on sports through the app. Then he followed that up with Fanatics Live. Think of it like Ticketmaster, but for Fanatics. Looking back, it makes sense why he decided to keep the sports merchandising division all those years ago. Not only is it a lucrative business, but it's also a gateway into the broader sports industry. Once he started building relationships with all these different leagues, he was able to cross-sell them other products and services. For example, if the NBA wants to sell tickets to a game, they could easily do that through Fanatics. Same thing with betting. The sports leagues want a piece of that pie. So they partnered up with Fanatics Betting. Today, Fanatics is valued at $18 billion, meaning Michael owns between $10 to $11 billion worth of wealth. Let's take a step back and think about this. Michael took his initial hustle of selling ski equipment from his parents' basement to becoming one of the most successful entrepreneurs of our generation. Now, there are some important lessons we need to talk about here. First, don't let early debt or failure define you. There were multiple times throughout Michael's life where he faced financial ruin. He started his first business at 16 using his parents' basement as collateral. He was deep in debt running sporting goods stores. And then when he launched his first website, he put everything he had into it, including the money he earned from working at McDonald's. Even though he was close to bankruptcy several times, Michael never gave up. He hustled and hustled again until he found a winning formula. So whatever situation you're in right now, as long as your core business is strong, don't be afraid to cut your losses and focus on what works. Second, when you find a good thing, double down on it. When Michael sold GSI to eBay, he had the choice of either spending the $2.4 billion on a lavish lifestyle or reinvesting it into the core part of his business, sports merchandising. He chose the latter, and look what happened. Fanatics is now one of the largest sports companies in the world. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to stay tuned for the next episode of Hidden Billionaire Empires. I'll see you next time.
We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe, like, and comment so others might find and enjoy these videos. Go to description below for more resources and information. Thanks for your time.